Beneath the quiet rubber plantations and sun-dappled forests of southern Vietnam lies one of the most extraordinary battlefields in modern history. Today, Kaiu Chi is peaceful. Barsong fills the canopy and tourists walk leisurely among the trees. But just 70 kilometers northwest of Saigon, this unassuming stretch of earth once held a secret so vast, so defiant, that it humbled the most powerful military force on the planet. Kaneuchi's strategic importance was no accident. Sitting astride key supply routes linking Saigon to the countryside, the district became a linchpin of the resistance against American forces. The US military established massive bases nearby, among them the headquarters of the 25th Infantry Division at Cu Chi Base Camp itself, built unknowingly right on top of the tunnel network. The Americans declared Kaiu Chi a free fire zone. B-52 bombers carpet-bombed the landscape in rolling thunder. Agent Orange rained from the sky, stripping the jungle bare and poisoning the soil for generations. The people of Kaiu Chi called their homeland Dat Thep, the Iron Land, because no amount of firepower could break their will. What the Americans could not see was happening beneath their feet. Over decades, the Vietnamese had carved an astonishing network of tunnels stretching more than 250 kilometers across the district. The system descended on multiple levels, 3, 5, even 8 meters underground, each layer connected by narrow trapdoors, barely wide enough for a single person. Inside this subterranean world existed everything needed to sustain a fighting force. There were meeting rooms where commanders planned operations, hospitals where surgeons worked by candlelight, kitchens with ingenious smokeless stoves that channeled fumes through long underground passages, dispersing the smoke far from the cooking site. There were weapons workshops, ammunition storage, and even performance halls where soldiers staged plays and sang songs to keep morale alive. Above ground, the defenses were equally cunning. Bamboo spike pits lined jungle trails, concealed beneath thin covers of leaves. Rotating trapdoors sent intruders tumbling onto sharpened stakes. Scorpion and snake traps turned the jungle itself into a weapon. And the ventilation shafts that kept the tunnels breathable, they were disguised as termite mounds, invisible to anyone who didn't know exactly where to look. The American military threw everything it had at the tunnels. In January 1966, Operation Crimp deployed thousands of troops into the Cu Chi district, determined to locate and destroy the network. Soldiers swept the jungle, yet the guerrillas simply vanished underground, waiting in silence until the patrols moved on. A year later, in early 1967, Operation Cedar Falls became the largest search and destroy mission of the entire war. Entire villages were evacuated. Bulldozers flattened the landscape, and still, the tunnels survived. In desperation, the US command turned to a new breed of soldier, the tunnel rats. These were volunteers, small wiry men who descended into the pitch-black passages, armed with nothing more than a pistol, a flashlight, and extraordinary nerve. They crawled through corridors so narrow they could barely raise their arms, never knowing if the next turn concealed a booby trap, a scorpion, or an enemy fighter waiting in the dark. Despite their courage, the tunnel rats could not defeat the network. Tear gas was pumped in and filtered out. Water was poured down shafts and drained through purpose-built channels. Explosives collapsed one section only for the Vietnamese to dig around it overnight. The most advanced military technology of the 20th century had met its match in hand-dug earth and human ingenuity. Victory underground came at a staggering human cost. Life in the tunnels was a daily act of endurance. Sunlight never reached the deepest levels. The air was thin and suffocating, temperatures unbearable. Malaria, dysentery, and infection were constant companions. Venomous snakes and centipedes shared the darkness with the fighters. Soldiers lived below the surface for weeks, sometimes months at a stretch. When they finally emerged, many were ghostly pale, their skin yellowed, their bodies weakened by malnutrition and disease. Thousands never emerged at all. And yet, even in these impossible conditions, the human spirit endured. Fighters organized study groups and literacy classes by lamplight. They composed poetry. They told jokes. They celebrated victories with shared laughter in rooms barely tall enough to stand in. Their resilience was not merely physical, it was an act of collective will that no bomb could shatter. Today, the Kaiu Chi tunnels stand as a national historical site, welcoming millions of visitors from around the world each year. Sections of the network have been preserved and widened so that guests may crawl through the passageways and glimpse, for just a moment, what life was like beneath the Iron Land. The tunnels endure as a testament to something universal. that when a people refuse to be defeated, no force on earth can conquer them. The lesson of Siu Chi is not one of hatred, but of resilience, creativity, and the extraordinary depths of human determination. Ku Chi, the Iron Land, the Bronze Fortress.